My presentation is on the impact of digital games on memory in older adults. Cognitive health involves the ability to think clearly, to remember, to learn, and is important to be able to carry out everyday activities. Genetic factors regarding cognitive health cannot be changed, but environmental and lifestyle factors can be controlled. With the aging adults demographic growing, which is shown on the graph, there is a need for science-based interventions to help prevent, slow, and treat cognitive changes that can impact aging adults. According to the National Institute on Aging, there is not enough evidence to suggest that computer-based training games that you can get commercially can have similar cognitive impacts as other methods of training. So this research can close that knowledge gap. There is evidence that technology can help individuals coping with and preventing cognitive decline, and smartphone use has increased, so that can be applied to using technology to help with cognitive decline. Research on digital games as a memory intervention can further our understanding of the topic. Psychological research is dominated by samples from Western, educated, rich, and democratic nations. So by looking at the generalizability of digital interventions for everyone, can determine if findings are applicable beyond the research environment, beyond the lab. Studies have shown that telemedicine can improve accessibility of healthcare. So by having science-backed interventions that clients can do anywhere, accessibility can improve for those who live in rural areas and do not have transportation. First research question is, are the cognitive improvements produced by digital games consistent across a diverse population of older adults? The null hypothesis is that there is no difference in cognitive improvements from digital game interventions across a diverse population of older adults. The alternative hypothesis is that there is a statistically significant improvement in those who use digital game interventions in a diverse population of older adults. The rationale behind these is that other studies, like a randomized controlled trial and a systematic review, found that mobile game application, cognitive training, and serious games improved attention, memory, and control. The game NeuroRacer has been shown to improve attention in older adults and is the first and only FDA-authorized video game treatment. A researcher found that teaching older adults with mild dementia to use smartphones to set appointment reminders improved their independent functioning. The second research question is, how effective are digital cognitive games compared to traditional cognitive training methods in improving older adults' memory? The null hypothesis is that there is no difference in memory between older adults who use digital cognitive games and those who use traditional cognitive training. The alternate hypothesis is that older adults who use cognitive training are more likely to experience cognitive benefits like in their memory. The rationale behind these is that the National Institute on Aging found there is not enough evidence to suggest that cognitive-based training applications that you can get commercially can have similar cognitive impacts as other training, as I mentioned previously. And traditional cognitive training has been found to have benefits for maintaining cognitive health. One researcher found that combining exercise and cognitive training improved the working memory of older adults, and a literature review found that cognitive training studies had efficacy in improving perspective memory, especially when the perspective memory processes were specifically trained. The third research question is that which cognitive processes like executive control, attention, and processing speed, mediate memory improvements in older adults. The null hypothesis is that there aren't any mediating impacts on memory improvement in older adults from cognitive processes like executive control, attention, and processing speed. The alternate hypothesis is that other cognitive processes do mediate memory improvements in older adults. The rationale behind this comes from a study that found that the training group had greater improvements in their Stroop test, which tests attention and executive control, and participants' auditory reaction time was enhanced in the memory training group compared to the control group. The National Institutes of Health describes older adults as those age 65 or older, so participants will be 65 years of age or older. The Center for Aging in Diverse Communities at the University of California, San Francisco discusses using social media and a health registry to recruit older adults for research. A study has shown that recruitment through letters and mailings can help add older individuals to some study samples. They add that telephone calls after mailings can increase recruitment. The variables in my study for the independent variable is the training condition, which involves the digital cognitive games, traditional cognitive training, and an active control group. The dependent variable is memory performance. So to conduct my quantitative research, I will describe the problem statement, create purpose statements, research questions and hypotheses, collect numerical data from the sample, do a statistical analysis, and provide an unbiased study report. After obtaining IRB approval, I will randomize the participants to 3 groups, one where participants would play digital games, another where participants would use traditional cognitive training, and an active control. The assessment schedule would involve a baseline, immediate post-intervention assessment, a follow-up after 3 months, and another follow-up after 6 months. The intervention would be about 45 minutes per session, 3 sessions a week for 8 weeks. The digital memory games would be on a tablet or a personal computer. The picture sequence memory test will be used to examine episodic memory, and this test has shown to be reliable and valid to test episodic memory in adults. The Stroop test, which is shown on the screen, will be used for executive control, and it has been found to demonstrate concurrent validity and response time reliability in older adults. The continuous performance test will be used to test attention, which has been shown to have an omission error, but it can be useful and a stable measure of sustained attention. The digital substitution test for processing speed will be used and is shown to be valid. The study involves multiple intervention groups, repeated measures because of the participants being assessed multiple times, and mediators, so mixed effects models and mediation analysis can be used through SPSS. On the picture, it shows a repeated measure design where the same participants are measured at different time points, which is how the study is designed. Linear mixed models are used when the data is collected using multi-stage sampling or repeated measures designs. Linear mixed effects models have become popular as a data analysis method in psychology. Causal mediation is a method to understand how an intervention influences a mediator and is rising in popularity because it elucidates the mechanism of the effect of an intervention on an outcome. Cognitive psychology can add unique insights to this research because cognitive psychologists set tasks for individuals in order to examine memory. Cognitive psychologists do not involve the nervous system, though some cognitive psychologists use cognitive neuroscience methods. Cognitive neuroscience looks at different memory types like working memory, episodic memory, and semantic memory. As it's pointed out, a step in studying higher mental processes was Atkinson's and Schifrin's model of memory, which highlights how memory is a study in cognitive psychology. This research could be used to further develop memory games to be used in older adults and can further the understanding of the impacts of memory games on memory, because as I mentioned before, there is some research on the topic, but not enough to know if commercial computer-based training games are as good as traditional training, which actually has been shown to have benefits for cognitive health. As discussed previously, by looking at the generalizability of digital interventions on memory, this study is determining if the aspects of the finding are applicable beyond the boundaries of the research on a diverse population. A limitation of this research design is that the research is only 8 weeks, so it is unknown if the results are stable over time, so further research could include a longitudinal design. Participants should be selected based on the scientific goals of the study, not vulnerability or other factors in ethical research. Specific groups should not be excluded without scientific reasoning. As the study focuses on older adults, the population of the study would be that group, thereby excluding those who are younger. In ethical research, risks should be minimized and potential benefits should be maximized. An independent review panel can review the study to ensure that it is ethical. Participants should go through the process of informed consent in ethical research. Lastly, private information should be confidential in ethical research. And on the screen, the picture shows more about ethical research. This slide and the next includes the references I used for this presentation. The information throughout this presentation, including the research studies that I mentioned, are in the reference pages. I used information from the discussion post to help guide making the presentation. I formatted the PowerPoint first and made sure to add all the titles so I would not forget any of the topics, and then I added all the information into the slides. Once the PowerPoint was done, I recorded this audio, and then I will look over the PowerPoint to make sure that it looks good, and then I will upload it to my YouTube account.